Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, the current rainy season is causing challenges for the Ghana Sugar Corporation. Chief Executive Officer Sesnarayan Singh said the company is pushing to meet its 90,000 tons of sugar target in 2020.
That was a real possibility at the end of September 2020. But after those November 2nd rain for about a week, it blew away that opportunity. And we basically have at best 3 weeks left.
To date, Gaisuku has produced 80,674 tons of sugar. Meanwhile, Mr. Singh says they will be focusing a lot on value-added products as the company revamps its operations.
Whatever that cane can produce in whatever facets, that is the area we want to diversify. So we're speaking specifically to things like, things like ethanol production, glucose production, industrial grade white sugar, liquid sugars, a distillery, packaged sugar, which we were already doing, and the very important niche element called agro-heritage tourism.
Close to 30,000 students across East Berbice Quarantine will benefit from government's 4,000 uniform and school supplies voucher. Approximately $90 million will be used to successfully complete the exercise in the region. Minister of Labour, the Honourable Joseph Hamilton, was part of a ministerial team which distributed the vouchers across the region on Saturday last.
This engagement basically is just to say to you from the level of the government that the issue about school vouchers and how important it is to parents, we recognize that, and that's why we want to participate in the activity. And as I speak to you, other ministers are in other schools in Region 6 doing the same thing. And to say also that this is just the beginning for parents and some of the teachers themselves, I'm sure they're parents. This is just the beginning of engagements to ease burdens of parents to ensure that your children can go to school.
Minister Hampton said the government is working to ensure the nation's children are provided with the necessary resources to enable sound learning.
Come January, we will reinstitute the school grant, cash grant for children, and that has been increased to $15,000. And we have committed to parents that by the end of our term, in 5 years, that amount will go to $50,000 per child.
The government is working to ensure some 24 families squatting at the Sarah Johanna on the east bank of Demerara are not left homeless as the owner seeks possession of his land. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honourable Morber Anil Nandlal, met for a second time with the squatters in an attempt to resolve the issue.
The government, through the Ministry of Housing, has offered house lots to these persons who are in occupation of the private property. The government remains ready to relocate the squatters once they are prepared to be relocated. And we have that offer open.
Also on that visit was Minister of Public Affairs, the Honourable Kwame McCoy, who engaged the squatters and collected information for those who were receptive to the government's offer of an accelerated application process. The meeting is a follow-up to an October visit with the Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, the Honourable Susan Rodriguez, where the opportunity was provided for the squatters to register for the house lots. 587 Guyanese have been re-employed by Aurora Gold Mine after being laid off earlier this year due to the pandemic. Minister of Natural Resources, the Honourable Vikram Bharat, made the disclosure after recommissioning the company's processing plant on Monday.
This is quite outstanding because at our forest meeting a few months back, when we would have took office, a few weeks after we took office, the company reported that they would re-employ before December about 200 to 300 Guyanese. However, today we were happy to learn that the company have already employed or re-employed 587 Guyanese working here in the Aurora mines. This is a positive step forward in creating employment for Guyanese and to re-employ those who would have been laid off by Guyana Goldfields previously.
The company will commence full operations shortly under the new management of the Chinese-owned Zhejiang Mining Company Limited. The company is also seeking approval for the government to start underground mining operation by mid-2021, which would see almost 200 additional Guyanese being employed.
Underground mining is new to us. It has never happened before on a large-scale basis, legally regulated. So we definitely don't have the capacity to monitor, to regulate. So this is something that was discussed in depth with the company in terms of building capacity, in terms of bringing in experts to regulate underground mining.
The minister also disclosed that the ministry is seeking to partner with the company to develop the Ghana Geology and Mines Commission's mining school.
If we are going to speak on local content, and if we are going to, as a country and a government, demand employment for Guyanese, we need to build technical capabilities, we need to build capacity among our locals.
News on Tuesday. Minister of Education, the Honourable Priya Manichan, has said the government is exploring avenues to improve tertiary education in Ghana, including with the University of the West Indies. However, this would not replace the country's premier tertiary education institution.
What this is we have the University of Ghana, treasured by us, that we believe needs to be enhanced and developed and facilitated in getting better. And that every effort will be made to do that, especially going forward and having online education delivered through the University of Ghana.
Minister Manichan disclosed that the PPPC held consultations during the elections campaign and many people requested more virtual access to tertiary education.
As a result of which, the promise to deliver, at least in the first 5 years, 20,000 online learning opportunities and scholarships for those was born and presented to the people of Ghana in our manifesto. Essentially, it was a promise we made. We didn't make that promise in a vacuum. We made it based on what people wanted and said they wanted to us, as we did with all the other promises. So we tried to, we're pursuing now delivering all our promises as quickly as we can.
Last Wednesday, UWI issued a statement saying that it is currently in negotiations with the government to help to train up to 20,000 Guyanese over the next 5 years through its open campus. The Minister of Home Affairs, in collaboration with the Ghana Police Force's Traffic Department and the Ghana National Road Safety Council, launched the National Road Safety Week 2020 under the theme, Stop Speeding, Don't Drink and Drive, Stay Alive. Speaking at the launch, Minister of Home Affairs, the Honourable Robeson Ben, disclosed that impaired drivers were responsible for 37% of the road fatalities.
The weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 12 midnight, are the most dangerous periods to be on the road. The presence of adequate numbers of traffic police on the roads at these times has to be addressed. At those times, you have fatal accidents. And at those times, from observation, we need to have a greater presence of policing, of engagement, of intervention from the traffic police and others.
Senior Superintendent and Traffic Chief, Mr. Ramesh Ashram, implored road users to look out for each other. Minister of Public Works, the Honourable Bishop Juan Edgell, who also spoke at the event, highlighted the neglect of street lighting projects under the previous administration.
I was disheartened that when we took office, that many of those lights are either dysfunctional or malfunctioning. One of the major initiatives that we are working on currently is to ensure that throughout Georgetown, and I will come to our highways just now, our traffic lights are up, running, and functioning well to allow for controlled flow of vehicular traffic and to also allow for safe movement of pedestrians while crossing major intersections.
Also on Tuesday, Minister of Education, the Honourable Priya Manichan, visited Linden Region 10, where she launched a distribution of the uniform and school supplies voucher in the region. The event took place at the Mackenzie High School.
We know how much parents are struggling and how much this can be an assistance and how worried people were about where are we going to find these resources. Whether school opens next week or next month or next year, you still need to put pencils in their book bags. You still need to put socks on their feet, so why not give it to you as soon as we have it, rather than have you wait and struggle and we have money in our hands in the ministry. That is not how I operate. That is not how this government operates, and it will never be how we operate. If we have it, we will give it to you.
News on Wednesday. Minister of Housing and Water, the Honourable Colin Crowell, and a team from the Central Housing and Planning Authority, CH&PA, visited several areas in Linden on Wednesday. The minister said the Linden housing program will be expanded in 2021.
Commencing in the new year on our 2021 program. That is why we're doing those visits now, so that we can familiarize ourselves and to do the planning. We want to ensure that for 2021 we start some infrastructure work for opening new areas. There have been a number of acres that have been identified for possible housing development as well as land allocation, for which the team will come back, the surveying team will come back to do their necessary preparatory work.
Minister Crowell visited the Amelia's Ward Phase 2 and 3 housing scheme, where several middle-income homes were constructed. Ongoing roadworks and the squatting area were also visited. Following the site visits, the minister stopped by the Wutako Guest House, where residents were able to have their housing needs addressed. While engaging with residents, the minister highlighted the backlog of housing applications.
In the system, and that is the Central Housing and Planning Authority, and you just heard from the Chief Executive Officer, there are approximately 4,000 persons who have applied and are in the system awaiting allocations under Region 10. So that's our starting point.
Minister Crowell said government inherited a backlog of some 70,000 applications. He told Lindeners that clearing this backlog is the main focus of the ministry. Minister Crowell also showed residents that while no new applications will be made in 2020, they can look forward to allocations in 2021. News on Friday, the Ghana Tourism Authority launched the Maracaibai Village Tour, the Walkabout Tour, and the Seven Curry Tour. Speaking via video during the launch, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, the Honourable Onij Walren, said she was happy the GTA had developed these products.
Today's launch reinforces the point that Destination Guyana is a very diverse product. I continue to advocate that wherever in Guyana someone visits, they should have a remarkable and satisfying experience, because Guyana is absolutely beautiful. Beyond Kaieteur, Oranduke, Georgetown, and the more popular destinations, there is much to see and do.
Minister Walren said the launch is indicative of government's policy approach for tourism. She said plans have already started to spur greater interest by both locals and the diaspora to experience the beauty of Guyana.
I have interacted with tour guides, boat operators, kitchen staff, and other workers in some communities, and I appreciate the benefits of tourism to many of their families. The tours being launched today all aim to give travelers meaningful, captivating experiences as they actively engage with the history, people, culture, and food. They will provide travelers with access to one-of-a-kind insider experiences that engage all of the senses.
Also on Friday, the Housing Minister distributed land titles during an outreach to Latham in Region 9. Minister the Honourable Colin Crowell said the hinterland is important for housing expansion, while assuring residents that the region has not been forgotten.
You are part of our front burner of dealing with regions across all the regions, of responding as part of our mandate to make availability for housing for our citizens.
The distribution of the titles was conducted at the Amerindian Hostel. News on Saturday, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honourable Charles Ramson Jr., says the appointment of a board to the National Sports Commission, NSC, is forthcoming.
As it relates to the Sports Commission, we had gone through a number of variations for persons. It's something that the Cabinet is paying attention to. But we're also monitoring what was it that the Sports Commission board right? The commission itself, which is the board. What was it that they did over the last 5 years?
Minister Ramson Jr. said as the person tasked with appointing the new board, he has to get to the bottom of why the previous board could not function.
If you've had a board that hasn't done anything, then you've got to get to the bottom of why it hasn't done anything before you start making hurried decisions about what it's going to be done. Because we give this subvention to this quote-unquote commission, but it's really the ministry that has to process a lot of, well, not a lot, but all of their payments, but it's still, the body has to be accountable.
Thousands of Guyanese residing in Tushen and Zilot's East Bank, Essequibo, will benefit from rehabilitative roadworks planned for the area. Works are expected to commence within a week. On Saturday, Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, the Honourable Deodat Indar, visited the communities.
We are coming here to make sure that we start the process of fixing these roads on a continuous basis, so that we can do it incrementally in phases, so that it can be, most of the roads can be fixed, if not all of it, within our first 5 years.
4 main roads have been identified in Tushen and Zilot. The minister stated that some works will also be done on other streets. The contracts awarded for the roads in Tushen and Zilot amount to approximately $250 million. That's it for this week's edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and of course our social media platforms. Goodbye.